Hello everybody, Ray Pedraza from McAllen Cable Network here at the beautiful Discovery Center at Quinta Mazatlan. Today we're chatting with our state senator for District 27, Mr. Eddie Lucio Jr., and also with Teclo Garcia. He's our director of governmental affairs for the city of McAllen. Welcome to the both of you.
Hey, happy to be here.
Awesome. You represent District 27, which is a large district, and it encompasses part of McAllen. Talk to us about the territory you represent really quick.
I represent an area from Brownsville to McAllen to Kingsville, the city limits of Corpus Christi, and all along the coast back to the Brownsville area. It's a 5-county area, and I probably represent maybe a few thousand more people in Hidalgo than I do in Cameron, but it's real close. Willesie's a small county, Kennedy, very small, of course, Clayburgh. So it's a 5-county area, and I'm very happy with my district.
It's keeping you very busy these days. There's a number of things that we want to talk to you about, especially one of the most recent and one that's getting a lot of attention right now is the second causeway proposal for South Padre Island. We also want to talk to you about I-69. There were some new developments recently with that. Also, international trade, the upcoming session. There's a lot of stuff we want to talk to you about today. So, Teclo, if you could start us off.
Well, no, thank you, Ray. On that second causeway, Senator, one of the things that I think it's a misconception is that people in Hidalgo County wouldn't really care about what's going to happen on, in Cameron County and the second causeway because we don't live there. But the fact is that we travel there. People from Monterrey go there quite a bit, and they come through McAllen. And I think it's just as important for economic development. I think you would agree for us as it is for anybody else.
Absolutely. The second bridge will obviously be located somewhere in the Holly Beach area, and will touch the island somewhere around the convention center where it is now, where we held that public hearing last night. But people don't understand that about 80% of the people that fly into Southwest Airlines in Harlingen are destined to the island. Wow. And we have to establish the proper infrastructure that will take them there as quickly as possible, because that's where they want to get. That's their destination. But it's going to create a lot of jobs. Once the project takes place, it's going to create a lot of jobs, a lot of economic development, and that area will be developed, over the years. Hopefully, all the environmental issues will be addressed, and people will get behind the project.
And when might this become a reality? When might we be driving on it?
Well, it's hard to say. It will be a toll bridge.
Okay.
But also, we have to understand that based on the shortage of funds at the state level and the federal level as well. But I, obviously I'm on the finance committee. I can tell you, I wish we had the money to just build it. It will take a considerable amount of money. I don't have the total figure on it, but I think over a 15, 20-year period, we can pay for it. And after that, after it's paid, the tolls should be lowered just for maintenance and operation. But again, 80% of the people that use it probably will be tourists that come here from other parts of the state and country. So it's something that I think will be beneficial for us.
Benefits the entire region.
Absolutely.
Staying on the topic of roads, also some new developments with I-69 in reference to environmental impact studies. Could you tell us about that?
On I-69, obviously, it's one of the biggest issues for this area based on economic growth that we'd like to see take place. The reason that Laredo does so well is because they have I-35, and the traffic from Monterrey there over on I-35 into Houston, etc., or to other points in between is important. They take the interstate. There is a major infrastructure taking place in Mexico from the Pacific coast of the Republic of Mexico to the border. Hopefully, when that takes place and we have I-69 in place, we too will see a lot of growth in the Reynosa-McAllen area and the Brownsville-Harlingen area because of the interstate. I can't wait for that to happen. And it's going to bring a lot of opportunities for this area. We're the largest metropolitan area of the state and country without an interstate highway. And it's high time that we get our share of that type of infrastructure. It will place us on the nation's map of interstates destined to important areas of the state and country. Brownsville, McAllen, obviously is going to be the hubs of the interstate when it takes place, when it happens.
Right. So Teclo, we recently chatted about how people can stay connected with the progress of I-69, right?
Right, and Senator might have some thoughts on this, but I serve on one of those segment committees on behalf of Mayor Cortez and the City Commission, and we've been to several meetings in Cameron County, Clayburgh, and all the way up to Sinton for this segment. And obviously there's been a lot of progress with I-69. We've had a lot of support from Senator Hinojosa and the senator here and the representatives from the entire region, not just us, but all the way up to Texarkana. I think people are really unified behind the effort, and TxDOT, thanks to the finance committees and a lot of other work that's been done in order to try to get TxDOT the last penny possible. There's been a lot of progress lately in funding I-69. I'm really happy, and really I think people ought to be thankful to the senators and representatives all along this area to try to figure a solution on how to fund that interstate. It's going to be big, and the senator can tell you that in Cameron County, the progress is a lot more visible. There's been a lot of overpasses and intersections of that kind of thing that's been done there.
Well, we're real close to making that a reality, and my hat goes off to the regional mobility authorities,
right.
Cameron County, Hidalgo County. They have worked real closely together for this vital infrastructure to take place, and we're going to see it happen in the next, hopefully, the next couple of years. I look back in the last 25 years, and we didn't have a 6-lane highway. We didn't have a University of Texas system at Pan American or Brown, so we didn't have a lot of the things we have today. We have come a long ways. It's taken time, more time than we would hope, but these things are happening. And you're right, I can't say enough about the Valley delegation. Our members in the House of Representatives are extremely proactive when it comes to these issues, and I can't say enough about their involvement. They're totally engaged on the issues that are important to the Valley.
Right, but can you imagine where Senator Lucio sits on that finance committee, and everyone knows that, and everyone constantly says TxDOT doesn't have any money, but at the end of the day, we come home and the senator here and Senator Hinojosa, and suddenly TxDOT has money for I-69. That's saying something not just to one person's work, but led by Senator Lucio and Senator Hinojosa, their work they've done on the finance committee really says a lot.
Absolutely. Senator, you're the chairman of the International Relations and Trade Committee. Talk to us about how important that progress is for international trade and creating jobs on both sides of the border.
Well, I tell you what, that's the future of this area. Manufacturing jobs that will be established, more retail jobs. We're a growing, highly populated area. We got the youngest population in the state, right here in the Valley, along the border. So we need to make sure they're educated. We want to make sure that they're prepared and trained for a workforce that will be needed in the future. When we look at the interstate and the importance of that interstate, obviously it goes hand in hand with what is going on in our public schools, in our colleges and universities. And of course, our chambers of commerce, who are working very hard, doing their thing. I just feel that everything that is going to happen in the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years is going to be explosive, and we need to prepare for it. So I'm very excited over all the possibilities that we have at hand. I know you probably want to touch on the medical school, and that in itself will also require the right infrastructure to connect us completely with the rest of the state and country. So it's an exciting time to be in the Texas legislature, and being in the legislature, quite frankly, gives us an opportunity to work on issues that are most important to us. And I certainly would like to reflect on our budget and on the issues that are going to be important to us this next session in a few minutes, I'm sure, in our talk. But right now, I'm just excited. We're going to have the workforce necessary to address the growth that's going to be taking place here because of the infrastructure in our highways, in our schools, in our hospitals, and everything that brings us to the level that I want to see with San Antonio and other large metropolitan areas of the
Senator,
state.
before we came on, we talked about South Texas College for a bit and how you were there at the very beginning carrying the bill for the school's creation. Can you talk about what kind of role these colleges are going to play, not just in the Valley, but maybe statewide in that workforce development and international trade?
Absolutely. Our junior colleges, or especially South Texas College, Texas Southmost College in Brownsville, TSTC, our community colleges, junior colleges are going to play an incredible role. They're going to be working very closely with our local chambers of commerce, with the Valley Partnership, with everyone that has knowledge and is getting ready to address the employment needs of this area of the state. And the curriculum and the courses of study that will be offered obviously will deal with what is going to happen here in the near future. So again, it's important to get the right people in these leadership roles, and I think we do. I think that we're blessed with leadership such as the Mayor McAllen. Mayor Cortez has done an incredible job. He's well respected in Austin. And the mayors of our other communities are very visible as well when it comes to the legislative session, taking place. So I am very happy that in this area of the state, especially, unlike areas in West Texas and maybe East Texas where they don't have a strong community college, we're blessed to have at least 3, and yes, one of the fastest growing, one that has proven itself worthy to be called one of the best in the country is South Texas College. So
next year celebrating their 20th anniversary. They went from 1,000 students in 1991 to 30,000 students.
And we're not trying to date you either.
No, I think it's important to know that I wasn't a grandpa back then.
Right, yeah, that's right.
But I am today. I have 2 termites and 2 princesses, so it's all happened in the last 13 years, inside of the 20 years that we passed that bill. I have to give credit to State Representative, former State Representative Roberto Gutierrez, who carried the measure in the House of Representatives. Roberto did a splendid job in making sure that the Senate bill got through the House and got to the governor's desk. So,
yes,
kudos to him.
Absolutely. Hey, and this next legislative session, education, higher education, transportation, immigration, business, small business, Medicare and Medicaid, all big topics in this next legislative session. If you could just briefly touch on some of what you're looking at.
I don't know if he can briefly do that. I mean, some of those are weighty topics.
Right?
We got all the shuns in there, Senator, for you, but there is a lot on the plate.
Sure. One of the things I don't want to see again is guts, but unfortunately, people talk about living within our means, but it's more than that. I think some people that have been elected into the legislature and are running or at the top in charge want to live within an ideology. And there's a big difference in living between our means and living inside of an ideology. I think we need to look at what is happening. I have worked on a lot of issues. One of them is to feed hungry children, feed hungry families. And I can't help but think that education and poverty have a lot in common, because if we don't fund public education the way we should, it creates a poverty and an impoverished community of children who are not being fed intellectually, who are not being given the tools to work with to prepare them for the future. I'm going to be talking about this a lot on the Senate floor and in committee. it's just a travesty that we took $500 from every child in Texas to be able to gather the money necessary to fund enrollment growth in Texas for the first time ever this last session. Enrollment growth was not funded with additional general revenue money. It was, we took from operating funds that already existed within the system. We took $500 from your child and your child to be able to give to those that were starting up in our public school system. And I think that is a derelict of duty and responsibility on our part as a legislature and as a state. The Constitution is very explicit, is very clear. We shall fund public education in Texas and find the means to doing that. And we didn't do this last session. So that's a big issue.
No, that's a great point, and maybe I can slide into a similar topic. Often state officials and elected and appointed, et cetera, they talk about how fast Texas is growing, and it is a bragging point for us. People move here, they like the climate, they like the business climate, they want to be part of our success story and our international trade and so forth. And I think, there was a number that 1,500 people or something like that move to Texas every day. But Senator, I think you hit the nail on the head when you say, how are we dealing with these folks? If we're getting 1,500 people that move to Texas every day, how are we transporting them? How are we providing the infrastructure? How are we providing their education? I think that's a great point that you hit there.
And that's a statistic, Teclo, that actually takes place. 1,000 to 1,500 a day are coming to Texas. That's not those that are being born into the state as well.
Good point.
We have a major responsibility in this state to find a way of addressing health care, for example. We cut over $7 billion in healthcare funds. The end result was what? The closing down of pharmacists, doctors retiring and moving from this area for lack of funds that were going to be coming in here. Obviously, the quality of healthcare has to be affected. We're blessed with wonderful doctors, a lot of wonderful clinics, incredible hospitals like Renaissance and Valley Baptist in Cameron County, incredible, leaders in the healthcare area. I've met over the years at McAllen Medical and Regional Hospital. All these hospitals, all these healthcare professionals have done their job, but we need to give them the funds and the tools necessary for them to do an even better job, especially in a growing society here. And our population is growing, and it's our responsibility as a state. If we're going to say no to our federal government when it comes to receiving Medicaid funds, then we need to come up with a system that ensures that nobody in this valley will die just because he or she cannot afford to live.
And of course, you're talking about Governor Perry's announcement that he would not accept or not be part of the federal medical legislation that President Obama passed. That's correct, right?
Yeah, well, the concern was it was going to cost us X number of dollars, but the Commissioner Sees, looked at it again, and you read it in the paper, I'm sure, or somewhere in the internet, where he estimated too high. So we should be looking at that once again. We should not turn away federal funds ever, whether they're unemployment compensation funds, healthcare funds, education funds, because that's our money. We're part of this country. We pay in federal taxes, and we shouldn't be saying no to something that rightfully belongs to us that we need to address the growth that's taking place in this state.
Texas has the most uninsured folks in the country.
Oh my goodness, we're number one, and I hate that statistics. And we're also in the bottom of the pit when it comes to investing on public education, higher education. We cut $1 billion. That meant at the very beginning, it meant that 30,000 young adults would not be able to go to college this last couple of 2 years, this biennium that we're in. The Higher Education Coordinating Board made some adjustments. We were able to save a few thousand, but we still have thousands of young people that unfortunately did not have the money to go and into their higher educational studies. And that again, is something that very dear to my heart. And I would hope that we could do better.
Ray,
Go ahead.
Pardon me, I'm sorry to interrupt. There's a lot of vernaculars around the Capitol. There's all kind of initials and people use. One of them, I think that people are really looking forward to, that outside the certain realms people don't know about, it's called TRBs. And those are called tuition revenue bonds for the general public. And Senator was talking about education, and that's typically how a lot of building and construction gets done on state-supported university campuses. And we haven't had TRBs in about 6 years, I think it's.
It's going to be harder and harder, because what happens here is that the students' tuitions are used to pay for the infrastructure that takes place in different campuses within the system, let's say UT system or the A&M system, or any other public college within their system. It's going to be harder and harder. What I see in the future is more private-public partnerships. That has to happen. Investments, investors that will come in and put the money on the table to be able to accomplish these goals. That's going to be taking place, and rightfully so, because as we see tuition go up, a lesser amount of students will be going to college. If we don't provide the scholarships and grants that they have relied on over the years to be able to attain their higher educational goals, so it's not a good thing. We're affecting our public education students and now our higher education students as well. And in the population, and let's talk about Hispanics for a second, because we're high in population of Hispanics here in the Valley, for example. We have an awesome responsibility to educate the future doctors, the future policemen, the future teachers, the future, whatever they want to be. They're going to be the ones giving us physical therapy when we're in the nursing homes and all. These are the kids in our public school systems today that we're going to see again somewhere down the line. But in order for them to achieve their goals, we have to, in this generation, this business community that we have here and throughout the state has to set the pace and make sure that we fund, those programs. And if we don't, we're going to be set aback. And the Hispanic community, again, is going to continue to hurt. We want to educate everyone. I grew up in a home whose dad preached Americanism and patriotism. I wear the red, white, and blue for my dad because that was his favorite colors. And we were taught to be respectful of our elders. It was a different era. Things have changed. And we need to kind of sit down and ask ourselves who we are as a society and where we're going. For example, I've been asked many times, well, how does your faith play in this whole scenario? I said, in any scenario, I said, well, my faith has to be part of my decision making. I have to help my neighbor when it comes to immigration and be sensitive and understanding. But I also have to fight hard when it comes to criminal activity, so to protect, the lives and create the safety features we need for our people. There are a lot of things that you have to make adjustments with, but I cannot take off my faith coat and hang it outside the Senate chamber when I walk on that floor. My decision making is based on my faith. And I think all of us, we should put aside our political party labels and say, well, what do we need to do together as a society to make things happen for our community? That's something that we all need to kind of think about as we head toward another legislative session, because I see gridlock. I see members of, people getting elected that's way off, as we call them, way out to the right. And those that think they're too liberal or way off to the left. We need to come together in the middle and make things happen for everybody. And if we don't do that, everybody suffers.
Senator, I think you described Washington, D.C. in a nutshell.
I mean, that's it. You know, I'm very high on that. I'm a, you know, very type of religious person that I respect people's religion, I respect people's faith, but I think all of us have a duty to one another. Mother Teresa said it beautifully. For those of you that she's our modern day saint, she says, the reason we're not at peace with one another is because we forget we belong to one another.
True. Senator, in reference to Texas funding challenges, there's a segment of the population that believes that if we legalize gambling and kept that tourism from going away to Louisiana and Mississippi and elsewhere, that could help solve some of our funding issues. What are your thoughts on that?
My thoughts have always been that the public deserves a right to vote on that issue. So I'm not a gambler. I wouldn't know the first thing about blackjack or poker or anything. But I respect the fact that a lot of our citizens want to vacation in Vegas or go to Louisiana or New Orleans or wherever, you know, the games are available to them. Keeping them here, you know, should be one of our greatest priorities. You know, keep bringing tourists here. Can you imagine if we had it here in different areas of the state? Let's say Dallas and Houston and the Valley, South Padre, maybe Laredo, and San Antonio. Then instead of losing our people, we would bring people into the state. As chairman of the caucus, legislative caucus in both the House and Senate, which I am now, my push this summer is to have people think destination Texas. In other words, you take your family somewhere in Texas for a vacation. Destination Texas. We're big enough and we have everything but gambling, you know, that we can go to. Right. You want professional baseball, football, basketball. What do you want? Amusement parks?
Beaches, hiking.
You want hiking, bike. I mean, you want to climb a mountain in West Texas? Want to see the wineries in West Texas, East Texas. I mean, there's everything you need and want here. So, you know, I'm pushing for Destination Texas to help our economy, keep money here, and try to get the money we need for the budget. We can address these issues, infrastructure, education, et cetera.
Very good. A lot of new faces in this new legislative team from the Valley, and in general. Your thoughts on that?
These are young men, mostly that have been elected. Mr. Longoria up here in the Mission area. There'll be maybe another young man or two more, maybe three state representatives in Hidalgo County that will become new members of the legislature. We welcome them. We want to help them. Any way we can. We want to do what it takes to give them the orientation they need so they can land and take off running. I've already offered those that are running that would be successful in their endeavor to count on me and my staff, you know, to help them out. Absolutely. I mean, I remember when I first went in 1987. I was just kind of all alone there. And the reason I say that is because I supported issues that were more pro-business, tort reform, workers' comp reform, and the rest of the Valley delegation was on the other side. And I based my decision on all the correspondence I received from people all over the Valley. So I became a regional thinker right away, and I realized that people throughout the Valley were thinking the same thing. We want to create jobs. We want a better quality of life for our families. And you can't do that unless you have certain reforms that take place. So it's been a wonderful ride for me. And I feel real good about where I'm at right now. I haven't come to my crossroads yet. But when I do, I will look back and I know that I would have had the chance to do something. And so far, so good. We do have a Colonia Summit coming up.
Yes, that's correct.
Later this month, and we're thrilled that we're going to be able to put on the table everything that we've done, so that people can come and see what's available to them. but we also want to find out what's still lacking so that we can address those issues for the 175,000 people that live in colonias here in the valley. So there are a lot of wonderful things that are on the horizon here for the valley, and I know that the delegation will all come together as a unit to approach those issues.
Ray, one thing that we can't let the senator go, because I know he can't wait to talk about this topic, is the medical school.
Yes.
And you know, certainly Mayor Cortez supports medical school in the valley, as do a lot of people. Senator, you know that you've gotten a lot of feedback from that, and I think a lot of, and rightly so, a lot of applause from folks who've been wanting that for some time. Of course, like anything in Austin, you know, things sometimes get politicized. Imagine that happening in Austin. And of course, you know, there's other competing medical school proposals around the state. But can you tell us what the latest is now on the issue for the Valley?
Well, first of all, it's important that after the 1990 campaign, I took upon myself and one of my assistants, one of my main assistants, Mr. Cowan, Paul Cowan, who became my chief of staff. He retired already. But we did a 7-year study here, and we spent most of the time here in Hidalgo County. I visited with the doctors in this area of the valley, and I visited with the people at the chambers. It was an incredible opportunity for me to learn more about the needs for medical professionals in the valley, and of course, the result was a bill in 1997 that created a regional academic health center, and the governor back then, Lieutenant Governor, was Bob Bullock. I went to Mr. Bullock and I says, you know, Governor, I need $35 million. And he looked at me and said, well, you're a member of the Finance Committee, go find it. So I did. And I talked to Chairman Montford, and we got it rolling. I want to say that because it's important to know that a lot of times things get done because of political associations,
I was hoping,
relationships.
I was hoping maybe you could directly quote Bob Bullock's words.
I don't think that's for TV. But as he says, I knew it was going to cost me when you endorsed me. he told me that, and it did cost him. But anyway, that was the birth. And then Chancellor Bill Cunningham with the University of Texas did me the favor of approaching it regionally. I told him, I want a regional academic health center. Yes. So he came up, and I was thrilled with the School of Public Health at the University of Texas, Brownsville, the School of Medical Education at the RAC building in Arlington, and the School of Research, which I'm going to tell you will reap millions of dollars for research in the future at the University of Texas Pan American. Mm-hmm. Now, my vision is to see an institute for diabetes, to see a lot of infrastructure, especially along the important hospitals in Hidalgo County, because medical research has to take place close to these medical institutions. So that particular issue, to me, if people want to see what the future looks like, get in your car, drive up to San Antonio, drive around the Health Science Center.
Sure.
Go to Houston, drive around the Health Science Center in Houston, and you will see a glimpse of the valley in the future. Thousands of jobs. Most important is the quality of health care, more medical professionals here in the valley, and just what's needed right now is for us to catch up with the state of Texas when it comes to the ratio of physicians and patients. We're way behind. We're behind the state and way behind the national average. This will help us accomplish that. It's going to take leadership. It's going to take, people that run, doctors and administrators and those affiliated with the major hospitals in this 4-county area. We want to expand this area to a 10-12 county area in South Texas that we can hopefully look at creating what I call a MED, M-E-D, medical education district.
Nice.
That will establish, even if it's a small 12 to $15 million base, and it gives us the opportunity to go to us and say, okay, we've done our part, and now it's time for the state to do theirs, like they did in Lubbock, like they did in El Paso, like they once they did, and once how they, and they also did the same thing, in San Antonio. All those areas, I have the historical background, how it took place, and we're trying to emulate and imitate all of that. It's important for us to understand that if we want to see this for our children, our grandchildren, and future generations, the Valley is prime right now. And I would ask the public, most sincerely, to get involved in this particular issue and to make it possible for us to establish the base we need to create a health science center. And we can start our students as early as next year. And the graduating class could be, the first graduating class could be 2016. But we need to take this action, and we need to take it probably this next year. So I'm excited. We've come a long ways on this issue. I'm very pleased with all the people we work with. It's been an incredible undertaking, but yet it's probably going to be one of the most important things happening here. Remember one thing, and you all know it better than anyone because you're involved with it every day. Business will come when there's good schools, good hospitals, professionals, doctors, nurses, when you have, all the amenities that these businesses are seeking to send their big corporate leaders down here to be able to expand their businesses. No one's going to bring a family from other parts of the country unless those amenities are present. And we have an opportunity to really shine with an interstate, with a health science center, and with other things that we've been working on for such a long time. The Valley is prime, and now we can really truly look at the Magic Valley of the future.
Well, no, we appreciate your leadership on all those issues, Senator. Thank you.
Hey, and if people want to stay connected with you, do you Facebook, do you tweet, do you prefer email? How do people stay in touch with you?
My staff put me on Facebook. I don't even look at it, but it's just senatorlucio.com. You can email me also. I got, it's very, very simple. I got 800 numbers. Whenever you want to contact me, it's easy, very easy. I have a district office in Brownsville, a district office in Weslaco. I might be looking at moving it further up the valley a little bit because of the growth here. It's important for us to connect. You're right. Most important. And I think in closing, if we're going to close, I think the most important thing at this time is vote for whoever you want, but vote. I think Senator Hinojosa will agree with me that we need to represent an area of the state that votes in high numbers, because when that happens, then those seeking high office will come here,
absolutely,
looking for votes. And I'm a Democrat, but I've been in the middle looking at all candidates to see who's going to do the best for our community, and I've supported and I endorse Ms. Strayhorn, for example, Carolyn Strayhorn. Carol was a very dear friend of mine, a Republican, but she knew what had to happen. She had the heart for it. Unfortunately, she didn't win, but I've supported. I've gone across the aisle. I reach across the aisle and embrace my colleagues. If they want to work with me, it's real easy to work with them. If they want to oppose me on some issues like they did last time in feeding hungry children, well, I'm going to give them an earful, because the last thing we want to do is see anyone in our community suffer, especially those that have fallen in hard times, lost a job, lost their home, have problems in the family. We need to have a heart. We need to be compassionate, truly compassionate, and sensitive to people's needs. It's time that we direct, ourselves to a more sensitive, compassionate society, regardless of our cultural backgrounds, regardless of our party affiliations, regardless of anything that makes us different. One thing we are is we're Americans, we're Texans, and we should be good humanitarians. That's our ultimate goal, is to be good humanitarians.
Certainly, Senator, the mayor and city commission certainly appreciate all the work and your leadership on all those issues. I certainly appreciate the open door you and your staff have always had for me and anybody from the city of McAllen that goes to Brownsville or up in Austin. That's always good, and we appreciate all that leadership you provide on those and many of the many issues that you're going to have to deal with this coming session. Thank you very much.
Very well.
Absolutely.
I admire
your
this
leadership.
community. This is a wonderful community, and it's taken leadership like you all's and the mayors and the commission, school boards, teachers, everyone coming together. This is a thriving community, and it's going to have a bright future in the future.
And one message from Mayor Cortez is make sure that you keep coming with your family to eat here. He wants you to go to Cracker Barrel. He wants you to go to these other restaurants on a regular basis.
I'm looking for cabrito all the time.
Okay, well, that's available too, Senator.
Lean meat.
All right, very good. Senator,
Yes,
thank
sir.
you so
Thank
much.
you.
Teclo,
All right.
thank you.
Yes.
And we, of course, want to thank Colleen and everybody here at the Discovery Center at Quinta Mazatlan for all their hospitality here today. And as always, thank you for watching the McAllen Cable Network.